All right, so I'm about to go take out the trash, but this is my think tank right here. As you can see, got cameras and all the all the boards. You can write on all of the boards, write out, pretty much plan out every single thing, except for all of the content for this YouTube channel. So, but I'm gonna come back later on and probably redo all the SEO. That popcorn smells good. Redo all the, yeah, I will get some when I come back. Redo all of the, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably delete all of the videos and then add all of the metadata and everything else that I need to do to the videos prior to uploading them, and then use some stuff to properly upload my videos so that I can get the proper SEO traction that my videos deserve. So what I want to talk to you guys about in this video was, should you do business in Africa? Yes, we're going international because your boy has been international. Akon has been screaming that black folks need to do business in Africa, or African Americans specifically need to do business in Africa. And he's saying Africa, but really, it's just internationally. We should be looking at international business opportunities as well as opportunities right here. And I was off the cuff, I was about to say something crazy like, no, you shouldn't do business. I don't even know why I was about to say that, but I do know why, and I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you that story here in a second. My name is Tyron Spear. I've done about $2.4 million in e-commerce, and I've spent $174,000 building a water plant in Kenya, Kitengela, Kenya, specifically, by way of Dubai. And I'm gonna talk about doing business in Dubai in another video. So, doing business in Africa. Should you do business in Africa? Should you do what Akon said? Akon said that you can start any kind of business that you want in Africa, and then it'd be a Fortune 500 company. Now, this isn't a critique of Akon, but it's just adding more context to what Akon is telling you, and really looking at what Akon is actually doing. And let's just take a step back and really just look at what Akon is doing. I'm always telling people to take a step back. But anyway, Akon is telling you that you should do business in Africa. He's saying that that because of ideals that white folks have, or that white supremacy has placed into our mindset, that every time we think about Africa, we have this instinct to basically run away. We're repulsed when it comes down to Africa, unless it's Wakanda or some sort of animated version of Africa. And yeah, that's that's facts, right? That's facts. So we know that we know how we feel about Africa. When you hear Africa, or maybe you ain't ate African food yet, you should. Jollof rice is amazing. Pepper soup is also amazing. A lot of these, a lot of these are West African dishes, not just Nigerian dishes. But anyway, my journey in Africa started when I was 5 years old. That's a lot. So I was already working. So I had already worked for, I'm supposed to do a video on manifestation. So I need to do that video on manifestation. So anyway, I was in, I'm up here at the office too. So I'm just walking around the parking lot, shooting this video. So I am, told y'all about that light. I gotta have that light on the melanin. So anyway, I was in a place called Talil, Iraq. So I was in Talil, Iraq, working for Halliburton. And all these things is critical. I'm not just telling you these things to tell you. All these things are critical. So I was working for Halliburton, and I was in, so Halliburton has different divisions, and I was in the, what is this division that I was in? I'm trying to think of the acronym. Life and Wellness, base life support. So BLS. So I was in base life support. So basically base life base life support basically acts as your city planner. The city planner is responsible for electricity of the city. The city planner is also responsible for city planner and your local politics and your local politics. City planner is the city planner is the second person in charge of the city. So after the mayor, it could be the city planner or I think there's another term that they use for him. You can Google it and throw it inside the comments if you know what it is. But the second in charge of the city is like the city planner, and there's also like another term used for him, city manager, I believe, city manager. So that's what base life support is. So I was like the senior operations guy for base life support in Talil, Iraq. So why am I telling you all that? What the heck does this have to do? What does Iraq have to do with doing business in Africa? Let me get there. Take your time, bro. Take your time. So I had connections with all of these different, what we call all these different, you would say niches, but all of these different trades. So electrical, like electrical power plant, water, large scale water, large scale water distribution, trucking, like any and everything that you could think of. From a trade standpoint, I had access to at a commercial level. So when it came time for me to do business, and when the opportunity arose, when somebody suggested that, hey, you should do business in Africa, I jumped to it. I was like, hey, and I wasn't even conscious then. I was just like, oh, yeah, do business in Africa. Really, I was in my marine mindset. And I was just like, well, I've been in all these different countries, Thailand, Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. From the last video, we're not gonna go into Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, and Turkey, and all of these different countries that I had been to. Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Jeddah. So I had been to all these different, Kuwait. So I've been to all these different countries, UK, London, and Japan. I can keep going. But I've been to all these different countries. So anyway, I was in my Marine Corps mindset. So I was basically saying, well, I've done these different things in these countries. So surely I can go to Africa where people look like me, move and operate like me, that I can go there and set something up. And then I'm making good money. So I pay for it out of my own pocket. It probably won't cost that much, yada, yada, yada. So the first initial idea was around trucking. So they were saying that the investment was going to be about $14,000 for us to buy a truck, hire a driver, pay local wages or better than local wages. The driver would take care of the truck, yada, yada, yada. So that wound up not pulling through. I did my research. That's where we're going here. Did my research. So I did my research, and the guys didn't follow up. So I was supposed to trying to go in with the partner because I wasn't trying to do it by myself. So I was trying to go in with a partner. So then later on, this whole doing business in Africa thing, because I had started putting the word out to other people, specifically a Kenyan guy. So I wound up linking up with him. Me and him worked together. I don't think I had already have a top secret security clearance, but at this point in time, my clearance was on pause, or my clearance was inactive at this time. So anyway, I link up with him. We get up over there, then boom, we start. He suggests that we get into water, which is cool because it's a fixed asset, concrete, land, this whole thing. So I did the research on water. Come to find out, there was some water issues in the area. Even though they do have water, they have two types of water. They have water inside the ground, and then they have water. They have piped water that comes to them, and then they have water that are in these tanks that hang up in these tanks that are sitting on these big towers that they can use for just general stuff. So anyway, I get involved with this partner that I had at the time, and then the cultural dynamics, because I was in my Marine Corps mind, I wasn't really conscious. we over here in America, African Americans were enslaved and brought over here on ships. So even if you, it's true. We also had, some of us were already up over here in the Americas prior to being enslaved. So you have I think it was like 200 ships set sail out of West Africa during Mansa Musa's father's reign in southern West Africa, and then afterwards they would set sail another 200 ships, and then try to come up over here to America. So there's already probably like 400 plus ships that had already brought West Africans to the Americas. And then later on you had the whole transatlantic slave trade where more of us was brought up over here. I believe 10 million is the number that they quote. So anyway, this video is gonna go a little long, but it's cool. So why am I bringing this up? So the cultural mindset of the African in Africa. Not everyone, but a whole lot of them, especially if these countries was colonized, they're dealing with colonization. And a lot of countries, especially around the coast, are dealing with colonization. The only country not to be colonized and not to be ruled is Ethiopia. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's per the documentation. But the influence in Ethiopia, and when you see Ethiopia, when you go there, because I've actually been to Ethiopia, I've actually been to Addis Ababa. When you go to this country and you're looking at Kenya, you're looking at Addis Ababa, the main city, it's crazy. So anyway, the partner that I had at the time, corruption. So I'm spending money. This dude is, I'm sending money there in order for him to build out what he's supposed to build out. I'm gonna get back to Akon. I'm spending money. This guy's spending the money. He's not doing right with the money. And then finally, I get linked up with the right people. That's key. I get linked up with the right people. Mind you, I was working with this guy for 2 years at Halliburton. This guy was he was an IT manager. The guy was phenomenal at his job and a smart guy overall. But when it came down to putting his hands on that money, that's when things got funny. So, but I wind up finishing the project, wind up getting the reverse osmosis equipment from Dubai, bringing that in to the port of Mombasa, getting it from the port of Mombasa, then from the port of Mombasa, getting it into Kitengela, then having it offloaded, then hire another construction company to come build out the facility where the reverse osmosis equipment would be held, then having to turn around and hire an Indian company. Yes, there are, in Kenya specifically, my East Indian brothers and sisters came over with the British, and they control a large portion of a lot of the commercial industrial equipment that's needed in Kenya specifically. What their market share is pretty high up there. It looks strange, but anyway, had hired them to come up over. They drilled the well. The well is like 770 feet deep. We actually hit the Grajan water aquifer. Water came up. So anyway, I did that. Now what am I telling you? 13 minutes in. What I'm telling you is, and if you look at Akon, I almost said take a step back, but if you look at Akon is not really doing business. He's doing business in Africa, but he's not doing business with Africans. Hold that point. Akon got funding from China, and then he brought that money that he got from China back to West Africa, and then he built a home there. He probably already had a home there, but he built a base there so that he could be there to monitor the project. He probably had people that he hired people that he trusted and everything else. Plus, he couldn't just set this up anywhere. You also need to understand that bribery, or what we call, or what the State Department calls grease money, or money to, or not, I shouldn't say grease. Well, actually it is grease money, but a proper word to use would be administrative costs. So you have to make sure that you're paying these administrative costs to accelerate the paperwork, the administration of your paperwork. So you need to be keen upon that. So whatever's going to cost you to build or develop whatever it is that you plan on doing there, whatever business you plan on doing, whatever licenses, whatever licenses, taxes, whatever it is that you're going to pay, you need to have at least double that. And where Akon was probably doing business at, definitely probably wasn't in maybe a place like Nigeria. I forgot where he set up shop at first, but it probably was. You're going to factor that the administrative costs, the grease money, the bribe money. You definitely need to factor that in to your line item. Another thing you need to factor into as a line item. This is the difference between. This is the difference when you get content from. This is the difference when you get knowledge and advice from somebody who's actually done it versus when somebody's just telling you something. And again, Akon is just giving us the cliff notes. So I'm just kind of I'm just trying to go in a little bit deeper. You also need to factor in money. Well, I'm not even going to tell you that because that just scare you guys. So anyway, you need to factor in money. You need to factor in money for administrative costs. Second, before you do business in Africa, or you think about doing business in Africa, you want to go to Africa. So you need to go to Africa. You need to visit wherever it is that you plan on setting up a business at. You need to go there first. And you need to make sure that you have enough disposable income so that you can continue to go back there to check up on that project. You also need to have references as well. So you need to build relationships, have relationships. Just don't go up. I'm not telling you to fly up over to Africa, make friends with somebody, then start a business. No, you need to have relationships here in the United States. You need to know these folks intimately. The number one asset that there is in Africa, the number one, not asset, but the most valuable mineral in Africa is not gold, diamonds, or any of those things. It's trust. That is the number one thing. The number one thing is trust. So you're looking for somebody that you can trust with your life, because depending on how much money you plan on investing into this project, because that's exactly what it's going to be, because you're actually acting as like a Henry Ford or Carnegie. I wish I could name a brother, but I can't think of one right now. But I'm just going to throw him out there. The brother that wrote Watch the White Men Have All the Fun. So that brother. So, you're going to be kind of sort of building something from the ground up, which is phenomenal, right? But you want to make sure that you're doing this with somebody that you trust. And I almost forgot to mention this, part of that whole administrative cost. You need to make sure that whoever it is that you're doing business with is connected politically. Akon is connected politically. The people that he's connected with in Africa are connecting with him politically. Why do you need to be connected politically? Because your behind can be shook down when you get up over there. That's another part of doing business. So it's interesting how growing up in the hood can actually prepare you to do business internationally, because it's not just Africa. Right now we're talking about doing business in Africa, but doing business overseas, period. When you do business overseas, you need to be a different animal. You need to be a different monster. You know what I'm saying? You need to be a little bit different. You need to be a little bit more aggressive. In one of my other videos, I talked about how aggressive brothers are from Jamaica, from the Caribbean, from Africa, and maybe they could be passive aggressive if they're from, maybe they're from India, China, or something like that, or appear to be passive aggressive, but they be working at Sun Tzu, But you're going to need to be more aggressive than you would think that you need to be here inside the United States. And it's good that you have that the flexibility between mindsets, the fact that you're fluid to be able to go between having a mindset that you need to do business in Africa versus having a mindset that you need to do business here in the United States. Because sometimes even here in the United States, you may just want to flip that switch and act like you're doing business abroad, not just Africa, but in the Caribbean or wherever else. So that's something else. You can be shook down. So you need to have the proper contacts. You need to have the proper connections. And those connections need to have done business. They need to have a business. They need to have a home. The people that you're dealing with, the standards of business, or the requirements for doing business with somebody in Africa, because this really is a partnership. So you need to look at it. You need to look at whoever it is that you're building with like this is a marriage. So if it's a brother that's American, or a sister, or whoever that's American, and they're acting as a bridge, or they're already up over there and they're situated and they got connections, great. but you really want political connections. So that way, when you're up and running and people come knock up on the door, you can call somebody and say, hey, I need you to send, the sheriff or whoever up over here, and they're not gonna be scared of who's on the other side of the door. So when you yell to the other side of the door that XYZ is coming, Omudale is coming, they like, oh, okay, well, we didn't know you was rolling Omudale, so we're gonna go ahead and kick rocks. So these are the things that you need to have in place prior to you just getting over your fears of doing business in Africa. All right, so been 20 minutes. I can keep going, but I'm just going to leave it at that. So to summarize this real quick. One, should you do business in Africa? Yes. What do you need to do first? You need to go to Africa first. Just to kind of sort of see what's going on there, see the energy, connect with some African friends here, or if you know where you plan on setting up business at in Africa, connect with that community here in the United States. So that's the first thing you need to do. I love Atlanta. I'm in the Atlanta area. Atlanta really is Wakanda, because we have a lot of African communities here. We have a lot of international communities here, period. So you can tap into one of those communities, get the rundown on what's actually popping off in that country, especially if they travel home back and forth, and try to find you somebody that's a proven businessman in that area, and then make sure he has something to lose up over here. But don't just jump into business. Once you really realize that this is something that you want to do, you're probably still 2 years removed. That's how I want you to be thinking about it in your mind. Take time to really build a relationship with this person, get to know them. Look at it like this is somebody that you're dating and somebody that you plan on getting married to. A couple Christmases and family reunions, and y'all flying back to Africa for New Year's. Like, it needs to be like a thing, you know what I'm saying, where you've had a chance to see a couple, you've had a chance to see him, see who's behind the curtain, get a chance to develop your own friendships and relationships up over there. Go to YouTube, go to all of the news sites up over there, have those sent to you via Google News, YouTube. Subscribe to some of the news channels on YouTube, just so you can get a feel for the political climate, any type of tribal or clan disputes. Understand the history of the clans. Understand the history of the clans and the tribes that you're going to be. Each area that you go to is probably going to be ruled or controlled, even though it looks like the United States. Like, it looks like you just pulled up in the South Side. It looks like you pulled up to downtown Atlanta or whatever it is, but there's an actual tribe or a clan that actually controls the business sector. There's a tribe or a clan that controls this or that controls that, because this is what they was doing for a millennia. And then there's wars that didn't happen between these people. Maybe these people sold these people out to colonizers when they was being colonized. You need to know all of that, because what happens is, if you go up over there with your American ignorance that I didn't seen before, I didn't seen sisters in Kenya, have three different people operating from three different tribes, three different clans working for her, and wondering why her business isn't progressing. And it's because the dominant force there, the one that should be in the lead, because he can go out and make certain contacts for her, she got him or her in the back when he needs to actually be in the front. So you need to understand that there's a lot of dynamics that you need to understand, and you need to be able to plot these dynamics before you just do business. Just because it says that you're in Kenya, you may not be in Kenya. You may on the map you in northern Kenya, but realistically you in Somalia. You know what I'm saying? The Kenyan clans or the Kenyan tribes don't rule nothing in northern Kenya. It's actually, you're dealing with the Somalis, and you need to understand what set of Somalis you're dealing with when you go up there. So these are the types of things that you need to understand when it comes down to doing business in Africa. Should you do business in Africa? Absolutely. But just like I'm telling you in the previous videos, do your research. Take your time, build up your resources, build up the people that you plan on doing business with. Do some small business transactions up over there. You know what I'm saying? Bring some stuff back from the States. Give it to somebody who said that they're going to sell it. Let them sell it. See if they don't even give you your money. You know what I'm saying? Just just take it slow. Just do like small things. Unless you have the money, the bandwidth, and the resources and the connections that you can make sure that somebody can go out there and do what needs to be done to get your money back, you know, until you had that set up, that may not be the move for you just right now, but you need to get up over there and start building those relationships. We definitely should, because when you go up over there, you're gonna see the Russians, you're gonna see the Germans, you're gonna see the Chinese, you're gonna see the Japanese, you're gonna see white folks from America already up over there getting bread. So tap into the you are an American, you are a blue passport holder. It may not mean shit up over here where you can get shot, excuse me for cussing. It may not mean anything up over here where you can get shot down or whatever, but overseas, that blue passport is like walking around with a blue diamond. You can go anywhere, you can transact logistically. You are a force to be reckoned with, because you can fly in and out of a lot of countries and go grab certain things that folks that are local to, let's just say an African in whatever country, he just can't just jump on a plane and just fly to that country. You know, he can't just fly to that country and then fly back with something. So even though you're still gonna have to deal with customs and everything else too, but you can go and make a lot of things happen very quickly, where it may take months, for them to do something. So that blue passport becomes very, very valuable the minute you set foot on an international plane. So that's something to think about. So yes, do business in Africa, but take your time, or try to piggyback off of somebody that already has resources up over there, that already has the connections and already has all of that. And Akon is bringing a lot of the people up over there. A lot of the celebrity people, a lot of people that know Akon are able to piggyback off of the relationships that Akon has. Same thing with Davido. Davido is bringing hip hop artists and stuff like that over to Africa as well, and they're able to piggyback off of the relationships that Davido already has to make sure that they get their money, make sure that they're not getting stuck up, robbed, and so on and so forth. Same thing if you was trying to come up over here and do hip hop or go to different shows or work with different promoters. You want to make sure that you're working with the right ones and have the right relationships. So that's what it's all about. Same thing with e-commerce. You want to get in the e-com game, you want to make sure that you have the right leadership, the right leadership and the right mentorship, so that way you're not out here getting burned, or you're not out here buying stuff or doing stuff that is really just wasting your money and wasting your time. All right, so should you do business in Africa? Yes. Do your research, build your network, and prosper. Peace.